A boat full of goblin pirates?
Alright, let's do this.
Alright dudes, welcome back to another episode of Goblin Slayer. What up, Geeks and dudes and dudettes? My name is Deebeegeek, and yes, it is that time. It is Goblin slaying time once again, and I love this show. I've said it every single reaction that I've done, that I'm thoroughly enjoying the show. I like what we've been presented here with this show, and the characters that we've been presented with, what their stories are, the Goblin Slayer, his origin, his reasons for hating the goblins, his obsessiveness with goblins, and just the all-around greatness of the world that we have been presented. I really like it, and I'm really enjoying it, and I can't stress that enough. So we're going to be delving into episode 6 here tonight, dudes, and I'm excited, and I do apologize, I'm a day late, but hey, sometimes this happens and you just have to expect it. So I'm ready to dive into this, and on another note, I'm going to be covering a different Goblin Slayer video very soon, so get excited about that. So subscribe to the channel if you have not already, hit that notification bell so you can get notified on this Goblin Slayer video that I will be doing in the coming few days. But that aside, dudes, we're going to be checking out episode 6 right here, right now. I really want to know what they're going to be going up to next. And the last step was pretty damn interesting, but hopefully in this one, it'll get even more interesting than that one. So without further ado, let's watch Goblin Slayer. Here we go, dudes. Oh, shit. Hang on. What way is this gonna start? Oh my good god. Who's the girl? Hang on. Oh, you just ruined it now. Yeah, what evil plans? He was about to grope that poor girl. And who are these girls, man? That's how you open an episode! It's no concern to Goblin Slayer, because it is time to slay some more goblins. I love this dude. He's so focused on freaking goblins. Nothing else catches his attention. I really like the intro. That is how you open an episode. That's how you get interest levels straight away. Really like the whole concept of that. We also got our first glimpse of different kind of monsters in the opening shot of this episode, which is great. We also got like some sort of sorcerer. The guy with the skeleton mask. He's an undead, maybe? Perhaps? Lorenzen's cousin? Nah, Lorenzen's cousin wouldn't get one-shotted like that. Yeah, so it looks like they're with them to the end. I can't wait till they actually go on that adventure, because, let's be real, goblins are goblins, and yes, he's Goblin Slayer, but there's only so much of that I can take. We're finally getting through to our boy Goblin Slayer. Goblin Boy is opening up a little bit more, which is nice to see. That is for sure. I wonder why it's called Watertown. It mightn't have anything to do with the water around it, would it? When you listen to the music that's played here, they always seem to play it in the built-up town areas. That is most commonly something that you would hear in an RPG kind of game in a town or city. I think that's so awesome. Oh my god! Priestess is gonna freak out! Oh shit! And there she is. But why does she have a blindfold on? My god! My god! Oh wow. My lord. I do realize that I'm using the Lord's name in vain several times there to express my reactions to, well, her godly assets. He's like, I don't know if I could save it, but I sure will kill some goblins. It just seems that goblins don't seem to be that of an importance two people. That there's more serious things to deal with, which I'm sure there is, but you can't just let goblins run rapid either. She's always frightened. The Archbishop seemed a lot more timid than I was expecting. I was expecting her to be more stern, more... My boy? Yo! More serious, but she seemed a little bit... I don't know. But my god, let the slaying begin! What is it? What have we got? Goblins? Wait a second! Is that a freaking ship? A boat full of goblin pirates? Excuse me, bro? Here we go. Conjuring time. Awesome. That's it, that's all she can do. And what does that do exactly? Oh, wow! Like, what is it? Tear gas? Wow! That entrance, though! Oh, my boy! I can't help but think that maybe the whole counting of the kills was inspired by the Lord of the Rings when Legolas and Gimli used to count their kills as competition. I don't know, maybe, maybe not, but I think it's cool. Nice! Jeez! That's what I'm talking about right there. My boy Lizardman and Goblin Slayer, they make a hell of a duo. Elfgirl legit looking like Robin Hood there with that hood up. Wait. Oh! Sweet! Mary! Mother of Crocs! Scaly, is that a relative of yours? Wow, you racist dwarf. Oh shit! How could something so huge? Oh, I love how he caught the dwarf. How could something so huge dwell in the sewers? Well, after that racist remark, I wouldn't mind. Goblins are getting more and more interesting as we progress in this anime. Look at him! Oh shit! Whoa, it's almost albino. It is albino. Jesus Christ! The massacre! Yeah, it seemed as if they were clueless about it. What do you mean? I don't understand. Wow, but he looks like a goblin. Yo! This is why I love this show. It's so entertaining from start to finish, and it feels so short every time I watch an episode. My god, okay, we gotta talk about this one. We gotta talk about this one. Alright, dude. So that concludes episode 6 of Goblin Slayer. Let's talk about it. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about, or the first character I want to talk about, is the Archbishop that we were introduced to, as she is the one that called out to Goblin Slayer specifically. I thought that she would be a lot more of a serious, powerful persona of a character, considering she was one that was responsible for taking down one of the demon lords, which is a pretty big deal considering that it's a demon lord. And to see her presented in this show, in this episode, she was a lot more timid, a lot more, I want to say, sensitive than I was expecting. Which of course is refreshing, because it's not always good to see something that you're expecting, like, and it gives it that sense of unpredictability. But she just seemed as if she was a little bit more scared to ask this favor when they have arrived. She just didn't seem to have that, I want to say, hierarchy personality that you would expect someone that's so high up, especially in, you know, the eyes of the Lord. But she did seem to be a pretty nice person. She has full faith in Goblin Slayer and his team. It's why she, you know, specifically and especially asked for them. And I think it's really interesting to see her, and to see that the priestess, you know, obviously is very, very, I want to say, honored to be in her presence. And even when, you know, before the faction left, the Archbishop approached the priestess and says, "Are you not scared?" Like, because does that mean that the Archbishop herself is somewhat scared? And I'm like, no, but that couldn't make any sense, because she's pretty damn powerful. That's why I got a little bit confused. Why is she asking that of the priestess, unless she is aware that the priestess is so young, so inexperienced, and to go down to face hordes of goblins, I guess, kind of sprout that question. So maybe that's where that comes from. So don't get me wrong, I don't think the Archbishop is at all scared herself about anything. I just think she had much more of a timid personality than I was expecting, which of course, like I said, is quite refreshing to see. But then we get into the actual sewers, and the slaying immediately happens, and it's awesome. It's so greatly animated as well. I just want to point that out. I can't really flaw the animation too much in the show. I think it's quite consistent in what it gives. The gore is still quite consistent, but not too much either. It's realistic. It's what you would expect when you're slashing down goblins, you know, chopping off their limbs and their heads, and it's just awesome. And then we get into some certain action scenes where the Lizard Man teams up with Goblin Slayer, and to seeing them, the two of them team up like that was pretty damn awesome, I have to admit. Like, that was so cool. I think the Lizard Man has this really, really kind of gentleman personality, but when he gets going, he's an absolute beast, and he has proven that. And I especially like the scene where he conjured a weapon for Goblin Slayer. That was cool, and Goblin Slayer surely made use of that weapon. I like how he made it a curved like weapon, because first of all, it's not too long, it's not too extended. He won't have that problem as that amateur did in the first episode that we all remember. It also has that curve for more decapitating purposes, I'm sure, which is awesome as well. So they have these little tidbit details that they throw into the show that you really have to kind of think about to know the reasoning behind it. And also, like I stated earlier in the reaction, that the counting of the kills, is it something that was inspired by the Lord of the Rings movies, by Legolas and Gimli, as they counted their kills as competition, or is it just something that he likes to do to himself? Do you think this is just something that the writer decided to put in just because he thought Goblin Slayer would be obsessed with numbers as well? I don't know, but I do like that. I do think it's somewhat referencing Lord of the Rings, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be very, very wrong. Also want to talk about the more unique goblins that we got in this episode. Like, we got goblins that seem to be kind of portraying pirates. Now, I'm not saying that they are pirates, but they may have come across pirates in the past, and they decided, you know, they got a boat. Because goblins they're a bit silly, they're a bit goofy at times, and if you ever watched any movies or see any shows with goblins, they like to copy as well. And I do see that in this show. I think when they dress up in certain ways, it's because they're dressing up as, you know, either people that they've come across before or characters that they've seen before, and they're just trying to goof around a bit, because I don't think by any means these goblins are actual pirates. I think when they discovered that they could actually have boats, they just wanted to go all out and actually dress up as pirates and do pirate stuff. Which is hilarious. That's why I think the goblins in this particular episode were much more unique, because they were all dressed up in different outfits. But they still met the very grim end by the hands of the Goblin Slayer. And I was not expecting that ferocious swamp crocodile albino crocodile? I was not expecting that. You would think something so large wouldn't live in the sewers like that, but then again, the sewers was quite vast. But as the Goblin Slayer did state at the end of the episode, it's not as if the goblins were aware of this creature down there, because essentially the goblins are cowards and they would avoid something like this at all costs. So having a boat would be a stupid ass idea if they knew that this swamp crocodile was actually living in the sewers. So he reckons, and we've seen a shot there at the end, that there is someone or something that's leading them down there or asking them to do something. And we've seen this giant goblin. It looks like a giant goblin. It could be something completely different. I don't know, but it does look like a goblin. Maybe it's a much more evolved goblin, a much more aged and wise goblin that has learned so much over the years of being a part of this world. So maybe he is one that's responsible for these goblins going through these sewers and causing havoc upon the Water Kingdom. Which is really interesting, but I don't really know what the purpose is. I don't know what the motive is behind it, but I'm sure we'll find that out very soon. I really like how the faction has kind of grown a bond now. It was made very clear in the start of this episode that Goblin Slayer is more open to opinions. He's more willing to hear out the rest of his faction now. He's not all to himself. He's not all about, you know, he's not narrow-minded. He's not set on one particular path. He's willing to branch left or right if need be, if he thinks or if his teammates think it's a better idea and a better approach, which of course is character development. So we're getting more character development of Goblin Slayer and the rest of the team. And I just want to also point out the racist dwarf. I just realized now that the dwarf is actually such a racist. At first he was just, you know, picking at the elf, which is something that you would expect considering elves and dwarves hate each other. But then when you think about the things that he said about the elf and what he calls the elf, long ears, and then what he said to the lizard man, isn't he some sort of relative to you when he's referring to the swamp crocodile, which is really freaking racist in terms of mythical standards. I just want to point that out. So I just think that's freaking hilarious, and I can see why the rest of the team would not like the dwarf. But I do like the dwarf, and the dwarf is pretty badass. I actually like this entire team, you know, I really do, and I like how they're sticking together in this. I think this show would get really dull and boring if it was just Goblin Slayer all the time. I wouldn't like that. I like the way there's comedic relief, there's other characters to bounce off of, and I just think it's awesome. All around awesome. And I look forward to the next episode as always, dudes. Goblin Slayer is fantastic. It's an absolutely great show. I would recommend it to anyone. I've already recommended it to many of my friends. They already love the show. Of course, they were shocked and torn after seeing the first episode, which is understandable. Okay, it is understandable. But they have begun to really enjoy the show for what it is. You know, it has developed into something that I like and I enjoy. So that's all I have to say about Goblin Slayer. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I do have another Goblin Slayer video planned. It's not a reaction, but it's something to do with Goblin Slayer, and I'm excited to work on it. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get notified and you can watch that video. Some extra Goblin Slayer content I'm sure you guys are not going to be complaining about, because if you like Goblin Slayer, you like Goblin Slayer reactions, you're going to love Goblin Slayer related videos. But anyway, that's all I have to say for in this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and as always, stay geeky, stay cool, be awesome, and be happy, and I'll see you dudes in my next Goblin Slayer video. See you later, dudes!